All right, so welcome to the first in-house podcast. We've got Dr. Rick here. Welcome, mate.
It's awesome. Awesome to be here.
Ryan.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Good.
It's been a while since you've been on the channel. Someone asked me to give you a big hug the other day, and I thought, no.
Who was it?
But I'll shake hands with you. I can't remember.
No, the hugging will be later on tonight.
Yeah. The cupping, you mean? I mean,
I get demonetized already.
hugging.
So, yeah, I just thought we could chat about, I don't know, just a whole lot of different stuff. But one of the things I know, we all gig, but we also go to jams, being the desperados that we are.
Yep.
And I always have people ask, like, tell me more about the jams. Like, what are they about? You know, how can I get involved in one? And I guess what are some of the funny things that go on and the good and the bad, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look, I always say to people, it's trash and treasure, mostly trash. But no, look, what keeps us coming back? What keeps us coming back? We know, the last time there were some magic moments and some pretty horrible things as well that make you wish you weren't born. But we come back just for those little magic moments.
Yeah.
And a jam is different from a gig because you've got no sort of emotional investment in it. You just go up there hoping for the best. And when you drive in, you can spot the cars that you think, okay, they're there.
Yeah, one of the things about the jams too is, I guess, like everybody goes every week pretty much. Like I know I'm guilty of that. So you get to know everybody that goes there. So the good and the bad. Yeah, and there's also no like expectations of the set other than your own. Like I hope it's going to be good, but it's not always the case. But sometimes I got to say, like even at the jams, some of those sets or the brackets that you can have. Easily as good as some gigs sometimes, you know, if you get the right players there. It's some of the best magic is when it's in the moment and everyone's listening.
Yeah, definitely. I think that,
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is, and the biggest advice I give anyone is, get out of don't stay at home playing to backing tracks. Get out there, play with people. That's my biggest thing. Playing with. And sometimes you do get really bad players, but everyone has to start from somewhere.
That's true, and I think we probably all got our start at some stage at a jam, and where someone pays it forward and says, I'm here. One of the great Australian blues guys, Jeff Atchison, I always remember him at blues jams years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago, just taking people through the basics of a 12-bar blues.
Yeah, wow.
And I just thought, I just had so much respect because, he's a guy that, tours the world and he's done really well, but he's giving something back. So every now and then when I'm having a really, really bad night, I always think, okay, well, I'm going to take one for the team and give something back. So does that sound a bit up myself? Probably does, but
Well, so I can't let that go because one thing I love about you is no matter who you're playing with and how bad it is, you just give everything. And I think a lot of people know that. Like and that's one of the biggest things I've learned from the jams, just watching you and it's like, it might be a cover gig or it might be a jam night and it might be bad, but you don't let that affect you. Yeah. And I've seen some like bar bands and they're just doing it and going through the motions, and there's nothing worse than seeing that. So
Oh no, you're right. I think Rick does give like 100% anytime he tries to play, and I wish I could tap into that same thing. Sometimes I'm not good at sort of just trying to. If the rhythm section's not working properly, I'm terrible at trying to plow over the top.
Yeah.
Rick's probably a stronger player, much stronger player in that situation, but I think it does emotionally scar him from time to time on the way home.
I'll just be going thinking, because my wife won't watch this, so I can say this. Sometimes you have to work to get a leave pass. Like Sunday. Can we talk? Sunday nights at our place, there's sometimes stuff you've got to do, and if I'm sort of skulking off up the mountain, all the way up there I'm thinking, gee, I hope this was worth, no sex for a month. But, which is, sorry, we're going to lose our monetisation anyway.
It's all good.
But there is a certain emotional investment going up there, but we keep going back. So what do they say? The definition of insanity is someone who keeps repeating the same mistake and thinking a different outcome. But there are some magic times.
Yeah.
You meet some people, and so yeah, they're great. You just got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I love about it, the jams as well, is being able to actually test your gear out loud.
Yes.
Or get it to the sweet spot
Yeah.
volume-wise. I think, like, there's so many places, or at least the jam we go to, we have pretty much free reign to play as loud as we
Yeah.
need to play, or as loud as the band is.
Yeah.
Whereas some places, they'll get onto you straight away, or they might have a little blues junior that you got to use. It's like, you go to the blues jam we go to, there's always like boutique amps in the corner, and everyone's like nerding out about the gear. I kind of like that about it as well. It's the
I've got a
gear.
100 watt today.
Oh yeah, what'd you bring?
I blew the tone. But no, I'm not going to turn it up. Like, I never turn it up.
Come
Like,
on.
that
You definitely
much.
got to turn it up. You must. Yeah, definitely. It's
In that corner, you do.
your life's not a dress rehearsal. Just angle it out, and it'll be great. But
Yeah.
no, it's true. No one ever tells us to turn it, which is kind of dangerous if you've got someone who's just not a good player,
Yeah.
and they play really, really loud, and it's intrusive and horrible. And it just
Sorry.
it interferes with the whole vibe of it and whatnot. So,
Wait. You're not supposed to play rhythm guitar way louder than lead guitar. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that'll be Blues 101.
I
but
think that's a life
There's so
lesson.
many guys that will play and then they'll go to solo and the volume will drop 25%.
Oh, yeah.
or
yeah, it
50.
sounds like two mosquitoes making out. And then they go back to rhythm and it's like a concrete saw. It's unreal. So, I mean, and there are things, and sometimes I know, Shane, you kind of very diplomatically say to guys, look, the rhythm, if you play it too loud, it clutters up the sound. But when it's time for you to solo, turn it up and blast, but then cut back so that it all sort of works. And, if you didn't tell them, then maybe no one would ever tell them.
I think that's... Yeah, I kind of let it go for months and years at jam, seeing the same guys do the same things, and eventually I just had to say something. Like, in an encouraging way, I'm like, this isn't to belittle the way you play, but the idea of this is everyone's paying attention to each other.
Yep.
No one needs to be chunking away with those big bar chords.
Yeah.
Like just... there's a great line that one of the drummers always says. It's like, I need you to play with dynamics. Yeah, I'm hitting them as loud as I can. It's like, no, that's not what we need. We need you to sort of play actually like up and down as the music goes and listen and respond. Like, I think one of the fundamental things that people don't do at jams is just turn down when someone's singing.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple. Even if everybody did that, it would be awesome.
Absolutely.
It just creates a bit of space, somewhere to go. Yeah, it's just something that you don't see a lot of.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we die a little inside when you play really loud. No, and the thing is, if they're three guitar players or just turn down. Sometimes I'll see the guys that know what they're doing not play. You know,
Yeah, you just got to stop sometimes.
and they'll stop and just let somebody play, and and that's the whole thing about music. It's actually it's a lot of communication, right? It's not talking over somebody. And when you're doing that, you are essentially talking over somebody. And the other thing I love about jams is the fact that, like Shane said before, where you can test your gear. There's a lot of things that you'll learn. For example, if you play at home and you have your gain cranked up, it'll sound awesome and it'll feel awesome. But when you play in a live setting, it just drowns out. Like, you get drowned out because it's too much compression, or it's too muddy, and you won't ever learn stuff like that playing at home.
No, well, that's exactly right. And I get asked a lot about what speakers to put in amps and all that kind of stuff. And if you're playing at home, it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's when you get out there and play, you go, oh, okay, now I'm starting to see the
Absolutely.
difference.
Yeah.
At
Absolutely.
volume's always very different.
I mean, I was gigging a lot. So I started coming to the jam 3 years ago, I think.
And now you're addicted.
Oh man, and I have you and Khalid to thank for that. I think Dr. Rick was the first one that brought me up, and I was gigging a fair bit, and then we did the jam, and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. Like, there's some really good players that come up, and it's we take our favorite songs and we do whatever we want to do, and then and now I'm stuck. yes, you do get the G's, the G guys. It's an inside joke.
I got you now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. But guys that don't really, how do you say? They're not as experienced, but
They're also not paying attention.
yeah, that's that. I think
Yeah.
that was what I was trying to say. Like they're not really seeking to communicate and play and make it sound musical. Whereas it seems like they're just there to do their bit and then.
Yeah, no, you're right. And
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed over the years at any jam, if the drummer's looking at the singer and the bass player and the drummer have some sort of line of communication, the sets are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Then there's times where the bass player is like facing the wrong way, and this is no pun against you,
Yeah.
mate. But no, you actually listen. But
Yeah.
there's guys that are just oblivious with that whole communication thing. They're not looking up to see if we're actually taking the song somewhere. It's just
Yeah.
like what do they call it? The blinkers are on, and
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
They're doing their best Sting impersonation. Yeah.
There was I can't remember if it was this jam night, but I think I was at a jam night and it was a quiet blues song and the bass player was like really rocking out. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That could have been me, actually.
Nah, you played really nicely.
Yeah. But so look, yeah, certainly we're hooked on them and we love them, and yeah, more often times there's some nice parts during the set, and you sort of go home thinking, I'm never going back, but you always do because there's enough there to keep you coming back.
I think if someone hasn't gone to the jams before, a good thing, maybe we could give them some sort of pointers about like what to be sort of listening out for, or it depends on people's skill level as well and how developed they already are before they go to the jam. But I always think like learn to play a couple of the standard sort of, if it's a blues jam, learn a couple of the basic sort of patterns and all that kind of stuff. Yep. I mean, know where the chord changes are already, but find something that can complement another guitar player if they're already playing a riff-based groove. You can pick something else. There's probably no reason for 2 or 3 guitarists to all be playing the same thing if you get in a situation where there's 3 guitars, and that'll happen.
Yeah. Terrible.
No,
To add to that, I think if you're new to a jam night, be polite, set up quickly and tear down quickly. Don't be too loud, and just be respectful. I think if and bring a mate or or bring your teacher or because it's great. Like getting to play in front of people, especially with other people, is a whole different ball game to playing with a backing track.
And the reason why that is because you can learn. This is a good example of a lot of guys that will play a song at a jam and they've learnt the part to the CD.
Oh yeah,
but you can't sort of stretch it or compress it depending on how fast the song's going.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to sort of mess around with the timing of the song, and it'll always vary. It will never. One thing about the jams, they never go as you expect, but sometimes they go better too. So
you have to be able to sort of think on your feet and adapt to the changes. So it's all about listening. Your ears aren't painted on; they're there to do things. So but look, I would say the jam we go to as well is it's very accepting and it's non-judgmental. I mean, we until we get out of there.
It's only when people are using solid state amps they become judgmental.
Oh my word! But
Jesus,
we it's just light-hearted banter and we sort of hang it on guys, but it's a pretty mutual feeling and. Yeah, so and we had just had a young guy along the other day.
First time.
15-year-old, and it was great to see him taking those first few steps. It took me back about 35 years to when I was sort of starting out, and it's a good feeling to sort of pass the baton to the next generation, but also to show him that us old foxes have still got a couple of things that we can do, and perhaps he might have learned some stuff from us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or to get good at your instrument, so you don't have to do these stupid jam nights.
That's right.
Get a real career. No, but I think jam nights are great, and there's a community. I've met drummers, bass players that I've played with on gigs at the jam night.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So it's great. It's about community.
Yeah.
It's about it's so many things. Playing in front of people, playing with a live band, getting to know other people, getting to think on your feet.
Yeah.
You should do one.
Yeah.
I've never been to any other blues except the Mount Daniel one, because on any given night it's so good.
And you got the freedom to play at the volume of the room, which is something a lot of these other jams don't have. Well, you might only get 2 songs, whereas we'll get 2 or 3 goes some night, or whatever it is. And
Or 4 if the organiser can't count.
Which they usually can't.
And the good thing is, if you start going to the jams, it doesn't take long before you get sort of familiar with everybody as well. That's the cool thing. Like, I remember when I first started going to jams, I didn't know anybody there. But after, I guess, 4 or 5 weeks, I started to get to know the guys, and then they're like, oh yeah, you start to become, it's also a bit of a social night out as it is a music night out. I mean, most people are there to play more than they're there to listen. I think most people would agree with that, but it's also that social thing. Like, if you guys go, it's a good night, even if we only get one go.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can always go to late night McDonald's afterwards.
Yeah.
True. Or go outside and get eaten by the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So no, it is also about the hang, isn't it? And we've all taken the time to escape from our lives and go up there and into another dimension.